something at the top of Formula One just stopped working, and the entire Silverstone crowd watches it happen in real time. Charles Leclerc wins the British Grand Prix, his first win in more than a year. But almost nobody in that grandstand gets to watch him earn it. With the finish line in sight, the board lights up. Safety car in this lap. The crowd rises. One lap of racing. Winner takes all. And then, without warning, the message vanishes and the field crawls to the flag frozen in place. Lewis Hamilton, third, an investigation already hanging over his afternoon. The question tonight is not who won. What nobody can answer is whether anyone was allowed to. Here is what the timing screens show in the final minutes. Max Verstappen is in the middle of a long shot when it happens. An earlier failure for one of the Audis has brought out a virtual safety car, and Red Bull rolls the dice on a two-stop plan, sending him back out to hunt down the cars ahead. He is chasing hard when the rear steps out at Stowe on lap 48 of 52 and beaches his Red Bull in the gravel. The accident makes little sense even to him, and the radio that follows is furious. A safety car scrambles onto the track. 4 laps from the end, the leaders bunch up behind it, tires going cold, everyone waiting for the same thing. A restart, a green flag, one shot at the win. Then race control makes the call the fans have been begging for. Safety car in this lap. Lapped cars may overtake. On every broadcast, the commentators say it out loud. We are getting a one-lap shootout. The pit lane empties. Leclerc pits. Hamilton pits. Almost the entire field dives in for fresh rubber, gambling everything on a standing fight over the last 2 miles of Silverstone. And then the message reverses. The safety car stays out, the lights stay on, and the green flag never comes. Leclerc crosses the line at a crawl, the pack strung out behind him, and takes a win that never had to be raced for. The grandstands boo, and they do not stop. On a dry track, in clear conditions, with the whole grid ready to go, the biggest race in Britain ends at the speed of a pit stop. And the reason race control gives for it is where this story turns strange. Nobody in that crowd clocks the real decision as it is being made. It hides inside one clause of the sporting regulations, and it comes straight out of the ghost of Abu Dhabi 2021. After that night, the sport rewrote how a safety car finish works. The rule now says the lapped cars have to complete a full lap of unlapping before the safety car is allowed to pull in. Clearing the leader is not enough. They have to go the whole way around, a full lap. On a circuit as long as Silverstone, that full lap swallows the entire run to the flag. So, when the safety car is triggered that late, the clock is already gone. There is no room left to release the field and still finish under green. The restart the board promised was never actually possible under the rule, which raises the obvious problem. Why did the board promise it at all? The governing body answers within the hour. It blames a software error. The message that lit up the grandstands, the one that emptied the pit lane and sent Leclerc and Hamilton diving for fresh tires, was shown by mistake. A screen that told the entire paddock a green flag was coming when the rules had already made it impossible. Think about what that means for a second. Teams make real strategy calls. Drivers give up track position. A championship result moves. All of it triggered by a message the sport now admits should never have appeared. And this is a governing body that has spent 4 years telling everyone a safety car finish is watertight, that the chaos of the past cannot come back. On Sunday, the message on the timing screen is wrong, and the result of a Grand Prix rides on it. And this is not even the first time the day goes sideways. Earlier in the race, a stray umbrella blows onto the track and brings out a virtual safety car of its own. Nico Hülkenberg parks his Audi with a failure. The warning signs that Silverstone is going to be a mess are there long before the finish. And this is the part that turns a bad afternoon into a bigger question, because the 2026 cars are already under fire long before the safety car ever comes out. All weekend, drivers warn that Silverstone is energy-starved. The new power units lean harder on the battery than anything before them, and a fast, flowing circuit, with few heavy braking zones, gives the cars almost nowhere to claw it back. What comes out of it is the kind of racing fans have started calling yo-yo racing. A driver pulls a move, clean and brave, and then simply gets fired back past on the following straight, the second the battery runs flat. Hamilton lives it against Russell all afternoon. He goes around the outside of Copse, holds it through the long sweep of Maggotts and Beckett's, then forces his way past again at Brooklands. 3 committed moves, and every time, Russell saves his battery, waits for the next straight, and sails back past as if the pass never happened. In the end, it takes a slow puncture on Russell's car to give Hamilton the place for good. Not skill, not tires. A failure. Max Verstappen has spent the whole season calling these cars a video game. Formula E on steroids. A grid where the driver matters less than the software managing the energy. And on Sunday, in front of a home crowd, the sport hands his argument a highlight reel. If you want the honest counter, it exists. The opening round in Melbourne this year produced far more overtakes than the old cars ever managed. These rules are not a flat failure, but a race that promises a fight and then cancels it by accident is not the advert the sport wanted. And the fear in the paddock is simple. If the racing already leans this hard on software and energy math, then a software error deciding a result is not a freak event. It is a preview. If this is the kind of breakdown you want followed properly, subscribe. This channel tracks every one of these stories to the end. So here is where it stops being about one bad message and starts being about who pays for it. Because the safety car does more than freeze the win, it freezes an entire championship on its head. Rewind to the middle of the race. Kimi Antonelli is not third or fourth. He is winning, and it is not close. Antonelli starts from pole. The Ferraris jump him at the launch. Leclerc builds a 4-second lead at the front, and Hamilton runs interference behind. Then Antonelli goes to work. He clears Hamilton at Copse on lap 11 and sets off after the leader. When Leclerc pits, Antonelli is less than 3 seconds back. By the time the stop cycle finally shakes out, Antonelli has tyres 10 laps fresher and a gap of around 7.5 seconds to pull back over the closing stint. He pulls it back. Lap after lap the lead falls. 7 seconds, then 5, then 3, until Leclerc has barely 2 seconds left and Antonelli is still coming. The win looks inevitable. Then the front left wheel shield on his Mercedes works loose. The car goes light and unbalanced, the pace vanishes, and he is forced back into the pits, then back again, until the race leader is running 10th on the road. And it gets worse for him. In the middle of losing the win, Antonelli runs wide once too often and picks up a 5-second penalty for track limits, his third of the year. By the time the classification is final, the man who should have won is sorted all the way down to 16th. He leaves Silverstone with nothing. No win, no podium, not a single point. For the driver who arrived as the clear favourite, it is the worst possible afternoon. Points for almost everyone around him and a blank next to his own name. His title lead pays for it. George Russell, second by the flag, is now within 25 points of him. A championship that looked settled a month ago is suddenly wide open again. Then there is Hamilton. Ferrari made the safe, obvious call. Pit under the safety car, bolt on fresh tyres, be ready to fight the second the lights go out. Textbook. It is also the call that quietly costs him second place. Russell gambled the other way and stayed out. He was on older, worn tyres and would have been a sitting duck in a real restart. But there is no real restart. The gamble that should have cost him hands him a place instead. When the green flag never came, that call decided everything. Russell holds second. Hamilton is frozen behind him in third. And a yellow flag investigation still hangs over even that. The paddock does not let it go quietly. On the broadcast, one Sky analyst says out loud what the grandstands are already roaring. There was no reason they could not have gone racing. And the argument behind that is not complicated. It is a dry day. No rain, no standing water, no debris on the circuit. The wreck is off in the gravel and the marshals have it handled. Under the sport's own wording, the race director can bring the field back to green the moment it is safe. On Sunday, it is safe, and still the lights stay on. A grid desperate to fight, and a finish handed out under yellow instead. There is a second argument too, quieter and sharper. The clause talks about lapped cars proceeding at a reasonable speed. It does not actually demand they reach the very back of the field before the safety car can leave. Read that way, the delay was a choice, not a rule that tied anyone's hands. The governing body stands by the rule and points at the software. Both things can be true at once. The clause made a green finish impossible, and the screen lied about it anyway. But that pairing is exactly what leaves fans uneasy. A rulebook so rigid that a long circuit can never finish a safety car period under green, and a system so fragile that one false message empties a pit lane and swings a title fight. You would think, after everything that came out of 2021, that a safety car finish is the one thing this sport has finally made bulletproof. Instead, it is the thing that breaks. The same governing body that spent years promising this could never happen again is the one issuing the apology tonight. And nobody in charge is calling it a one-off. The same drivers who warned about energy on Thursday are the ones pointing at the rules on Sunday night. What worries them is not that a single race went wrong. It is that the 2026 formula keeps producing races that have to be saved from themselves. So Charles Leclerc ends a winless run that stretches all the way back to October of 2024. On paper, a great story. A driver who had been written off, back on the top step. It is the kind of result that would headline any other weekend. But nobody at Silverstone is talking about Leclerc tonight. They are talking about a board that promised a fight and then took it back. A leader sorted to 16th by a part that fell off his own car. One championship, reopened in the space of 4 laps. And a governing body explaining, one more time, why the racing had to stop. The result stands. Leclerc keeps the win, Russell keeps second. Hamilton, for now, keeps third. But the investigation is still open. The classification can still move. And the questions about these cars are not going anywhere before the next round. Antonelli still leads, but the cushion is gone. And the second half of this season now runs through a title fight almost nobody expected to be watching in July. He goes from a driver cruising toward a first crown to one defending a lead that shrank in a single afternoon. He never lost on the road. Formula One wanted 2026 to be the future. On Sunday at Silverstone, the future promised a green flag and then quietly kept the lights on. This one is not finished, not the argument, and maybe not the result.